Welcome to the Think Self-Publishing podcast, where we talk all things self-publishing, making money online, and reaching your goals. If you enjoy the podcast, make sure you sign up for the free video seminar, Confessions of a Self-Publisher, and discover 7 powerful rules for publishing in today's competitive marketplace. Go to thinksp.net/confessions to join. Now here's your host, James, and let's get started with the show.
Welcome to the Think Self-Publishing Podcast, episode 11. In this episode, I want to talk about outsourcing and give you some tips on things that I've learned over the past years of outsourcing books. So with Kindle Publishing, the idea is you're going to create your own books and you're going to sell them on Amazon, okay? And every book is going to make you a certain amount of money every month, okay? And the goal is to publish more books and to do it consistently. Okay, the best way for you to do that is to use outsourcing, right? So this means that most of the work, meaning the writing and the covers for your books, okay, you're going to outsource that. So you're going to go and you're going to find someone with skills who wants to work. You're going to hire them and you're going to give them work and pay them, okay? So the reason you do this is because when you pay someone to do something, it's very likely to get done, and therefore, you'll actually go from start to finish on, every task that you set, okay? So you're going to outsource your books, and you're going to hire writers to write the books for you, to do the research and write the books for you, okay? So outsourcing is very important, and it's going to be a huge part of your business and a huge part of you making money with Kindle Publishing. So I want to talk about some of the things that I've learned and some tips to give you when you go on this journey of outsourcing. So there's basically 2 websites that you should be using to outsource and to find people to do work for you. Okay, these websites are Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com, and Upwork.com. Okay. Upwork is better than Fiverr because there's more people on Upwork. But Upwork is also more expensive than Fiverr, okay? So what I recommend is when you're getting started, okay, when you publish your books, there's 2 parts to a book, right? There's the cover and then the actual book, okay? So then once you have these things, you have a cover and you have an actual book, and an actual book is just a Word document with, words in it. Once you have these 2 things, you basically have a book and you have enough to publish, right? And you have enough to create a product to sell on Amazon, right, that people can buy. So what I recommend is when you're first getting started, you're going to use a website you're going to use Fiverr, okay, to find your cover designer, right? That's it, right? Because the reason you're going to do that is because Fiverr is very cheap, and the point of Fiverr is, you hire people to do something for $5. So the good thing about Fiverr when you're first getting started with Kindle Publishing is you can go on Fiverr, you can search for book cover designers, and you'll find a ton of people, like hundreds of people all over the world who will make you a book cover, right, of fairly good quality for $5, right, or $5 to $10, okay? So when you're first getting started and you're new to this and you're new to creating book covers and you don't necessarily know what you want or, what you like, you don't know your style yet as far as designing book covers, you want to start with Fiverr because, you're not going to lose any money. It's only going to cost anywhere from $5 to $10 for your first cover. And that's how much you should be paying, okay? And Fiverr is a good place to get started because it's easy to find someone to create a book cover because there's so many people and you don't have to know so much about what you want, right? So when you're first getting started, you want to go to Fiverr.com and you're going to want to hire someone to create a book cover for you, all right? That's the only thing you should use Fiverr for. You don't use Fiverr for writers. You can find people who are willing to write on Fiverr, but don't use it for that because Upwork is a much better place to hire writers, okay, or to hire more skilled workers, okay? So again, Upwork.com is another platform for finding people to hire, all right? And when you're first getting started, you're going to find your writer from Upwork, okay? So So if you want to hire someone to do like general administrative stuff, right? I don't recommend you do this in the beginning because it's a waste of money. But if you want to find someone to do general administrative stuff, you're going to want to hire them from Upwork also. But the main reason you want to use Upwork.com in the beginning is to find your writer. Okay, so you're going to go to Fiverr.com to find your cover designer, and you're going to pay $5 to $10 for a cover, right? And then you're going to go to Upwork.com, and you're going to find someone to write for you. All right, so in regards to hiring a writer, what you want to pay is $1 for every 100 words that the person writes for you. Okay, so the way it works with publishing books is in your mind you're going to come up with a number of how many words you want your book to be. Okay, so a 10,000 word book will work out to about 80 pages maybe after everything's formatted, and like a 5,000 word book would be about maybe 30 to 40 pages. A 3,000 word book will work out to about 20 pages, 15 to 20 pages. Okay, so it's up to you how big you want your books to be, and it also depends on how much money you have to spend. Okay, so I recommend, so obviously a shorter book, right? Because you're gonna pay people $1 for every 100 words they write for you. Okay, so a shorter book is gonna cost you less money to create, right? And then a longer book is obviously gonna cost you more money, right? Because a 10,000 word book, right, that's going to cost you around $100 without any fees, okay? And you're going to have to cover the fees for your worker. That's just how it's done. So Upwork charges, I think, 25% just fee, right? So when you pay someone, Upwork takes 25% of that to pay themselves, and then the rest goes to the person you hired. So the way it works is the clients who you'll be a client on Upwork. If you hire someone, you're gonna have to pay the 25% fee for your writer. Okay, so if you want to get a 10,000 word book written for you, then that will cost you $100 without fees. But once you account for the fees, you're gonna be paying about $120 to $130 for everything when everything's said and done. Okay, so let me summarize a little bit. So use Fiverr to find your book cover designer, right? And only pay between $5 to $10 on Fiverr, right? Just to get your feet wet and kind of like just get the task done of getting a cover. And then eventually you want to find your cover designer from Upwork, but don't try to find someone on Upwork immediately, because you kind of have to know what you want when you go to Upwork, and you also should have some experience with it, because people will try to charge you more than is necessary on Upwork. So go to Fiverr to find your cover designer, and then go to Upwork to find your writer. Okay, and you post a job and you say, hey, I'm looking for a writer. You'll know how much money you have to spend, and in your job posting you say, hey, I'm paying $1 for every 100 words. Okay, so if you want to publish a 3,000 word book, that's going to cost you around $30. If you want to publish a 5,000 word book, that's $50. A 10,000 word book, that's $100. Okay, and so on. And I recommend when you're first getting started, you want to focus on publishing more books, right? So you want to try to focus on publishing books that are 3,000 to 5,000 words. So that way, for whatever amount of money you have to invest, you can get more books out there and published. Okay. Over time, though, you want to try to focus on publishing longer books, because people like longer books. So in my experience, if you can publish books that are anywhere from 100 to 150 pages, that's like the sweet spot, and that's where you're going to get good reviews, and that's where people feel like they get the most value. When you're publishing around 5,000 word to 6,000 word books, you could still do it as long as your research is good. And eventually I'll make episodes on how to do research, so you're publishing proper books with a good amount of information, and you're covering topics fully. But in the beginning, publish shorter books, because that's going to allow you to publish more books. Okay, and so you want to remember, Upwork.com is where you want to find your writer, and you want to pay $1 for every 100 words. And when you're first getting started, you want to try to publish shorter books to get more out there. And as you start making money, like let's say you've been doing this for 6 months and you're making $1,500 a month or $2,000 a month from royalties, then you want to try to spend more money to create larger books. Okay, So Fiverr for covers, Upwork for your writer. Okay, don't overpay for your cover in the beginning, and then eventually, as you get more experience, transition to finding like a full-time writer, a full-time cover designer from Upwork, and definitely find your writer from Upwork. Don't try to find a writer from Fiverr.com. Okay, because it's not going to be a good experience. So the next thing I want to talk about is just when you're hiring on Upwork, you want to prefer countries that are abroad. Okay, so I'm not saying that you shouldn't hire like Americans or Canadians, things like this. If you have the money to do that, then do it, right? But it's gonna be very hard for you to find someone in a first world country who's willing to write a book for you for $50. Okay, because just the reality is that's just not enough money for someone to take it serious in the United States, right? But when you look abroad and you look at countries like the Philippines, or you look at countries in Africa like Kenya or Pakistan, for example, when you're offering $50, $60, $70 a week to write a book, I mean, that's more valuable to someone who's abroad than someone who's within a first world country. Okay, so when you're first getting started, I definitely recommend that you look at countries like Nigeria, Kenya, the Philippines, and Pakistan for hiring your writer, and also for hiring your cover designer as well. So yeah, definitely look at those countries: Nigeria, Kenya, the Philippines, and Pakistan. Especially, I would say Kenya and the Philippines. You will find that their English is very, very good, especially Kenya. As far as writing, I don't know about speaking, right? But as far as like the actual writing, when you put a job out and you're getting, let's say you'll get 100 applications from just people from all over the world, you can sort through. You can look at the profiles, and you can see who's college educated. You'll find a lot of people who have like a master's in business administration in the Philippines, or in Pakistan or in Nigeria, right? And so these people have a lot of experience writing, and they're usually writing in English. So when you hire them to write a book for you in English and you read it, you'll see that their writing is just as good as a typical American, right? So when you're getting started, when you're getting started, your goal is to publish as many books as possible. Okay, with the initial investment that you have, because that's going to get you more royalties coming in. So you want to do what's necessary for you to be able to get more books out. Doing what's necessary is definitely looking at these countries and outsourcing, and also trying to focus on publishing books that are a little shorter. So 4,000 words, 3,000 words, 5,000 words, that's where you want to be at in the beginning for that first 6 months or so. And then once you have some money coming in, you have some more experience, then you want to focus on publishing larger books. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a good idea on outsourcing. There's a lot more I want to go into, and I'll try to go into that stuff in subsequent episodes. So if you have any questions, just leave a comment, and I try to answer everyone who has questions. So thanks for listening, and stay tuned for the next episode. If you enjoyed the podcast and you found some value in it, then I recommend that you go to thinksp.net/confessions, okay, and you sign up to get the free video seminar, Confessions of a Self-Publisher, where I talk about 7 rules that I've learned over the last 2 to 3 years of publishing that I think will really improve your chances with self-publishing, especially if you haven't gotten started yet. So go to thinksp.net/confessions to get Confessions of a Self-Publisher, and stay tuned for more episodes.